So I'm finally updating my headshot. My old headshot was also a self-portrait. I probably took that about 8 years ago, and I figured it's due for an update. I just got my hair cut for the first time in years. Timing couldn't be more perfect. I just ordered 1,000 business cards with my old headshot, but I'm just gonna let that all go, get a new headshot that I really like, and update it everywhere. So we're gonna shoot this on the Sony a7 IV. This is my go-to camera. That's what I have 2 of these. I shoot video and photos with this camera. Right now I have the 50 1.2 on it, and then just a light stand, and we have our Click softbox, and that will have this little Profoto A2 flash clicked into it. And then because we want to shoot close to wide open, maybe not at 1.2, but pretty wide, we're going to need a ND filter so that we can bring the exposure down to match our flash sync speed. And then to actually shoot these, instead of trying to focus and use a self-timer, run back and forth, I can connect my camera to the Sony, I forget what it's called. I think it's the Creator app, and I have camera control on my phone screen. If we're shooting really wide open, sometimes it's tough to get the focus right. So we're gonna try the app. I also brought my laptop, and we might shoot tethered into Capture One. So we're gonna start setting up the stands and the lighting and do a few test shots, balance out the ambient light and the flash. Yeah, then it's just gonna be a matter of trying to get a nice, sharp photo. I love how easy these softboxes are to set up. You just open that, good to go, and they pop right on top of a stand, lock it, and that's done. And then this flash sticks there. And I found this magnet's actually pretty strong. It takes quite a bit to pull it off. So one of the big challenges shooting outdoor portraits like this is that you're balancing your flash light and your ambient light. And especially working with scattered clouds like this, the sun will come out and it's nice and bright, and you have to change all your settings to balance that. And then the sun will go behind a cloud, and suddenly your ambient light gets a lot darker, but your flash power stays the same. One thing to remember is that your ISO and your aperture will affect how bright your flash is in the image, and then shutter speed only affects your ambient light. I'm just walking around and kind of figuring out where I want to do this headshot. Normally, I'll focus on the ground. I use back button focus, not shutter button focus. So I'll focus about where I think I'm going to be standing, normally like 4 or 5 feet in front of where I am. Just focus on the ground, and then I don't refocus, and I can look around like this and see what that blurred out background is going to look like. And so maybe I want something kind of here. I like how this cloud angle and the sky and the mountains and the green, there's lots of layers here, even though they are blurred and thrown out of focus. The clouds are obviously moving, so if I want this diagonal cloud, I want how this looks, I have to get set up pretty fast. But in general, I like shooting that direction. The sun may be a problem if it comes out, because it's going to be very flat, front lit sun, and can't keep my eyes open, and I get harsh shadows on my face. Sometimes if I'm dealing with the sun, I'll put the sun at my back and shoot backlit, so at least the sun's not on me, and then I have my own flash to bring in some good lighting on my face. I don't really like how that direction looks as much, so we might just hope for clouds and shoot this way, or we might throw that diffuser up if it looks like we're not going to get any cloud cover. But in general, I think I want to shoot that way. Let's see if we can get this to work. So, like I suspected, the sun came out, and there's actually a big gap in the clouds, so I think it's gonna be worth it for me to just set up the diffuser. I'm gonna throw that up kind of right behind the light stand and up high so it casts a shadow over this little area. And then I'll just stay in the shadow of that, and then I'll still be able to work with my flash to kind of shape the light on my face. And then I always want to put the longest leg the opposite direction that the wind is coming from. So I think we kind of have wind coming this way, and that's going to tip a lot easier than if I turn this around like that, and then sandbag those short legs. So now the long leg is going that way, and we're going to just spin this like that. This is no diffusion, sun on my face. And then as I walk back, we get that nice soft light. All right, so I'm probably gonna be somewhere about here for the headshot. I'll use that as my stand-in. Something like that. And then we're gonna put the light right about there. We'll do a quick test on the app just to see if we like how this looks. This is a little too high, no catch lights in my eyes. And I have pretty dark eyes, so I definitely need the catch light to liven them up a bit. And then instead of having this softbox pointed directly at me, we have it feathered a bit. You get kind of like the softer fall off light instead of like the hot spot that's in the center. I like it. I kind of wonder if I want the light coming from this side. But then I worry that we're kind of lighting it from both sides. But I think our exposure, our ambient is dark enough that we're still gonna have some good face shaping. Flattens it out too much. We're just gonna match the light to where the sun's coming from, but we'll bring it a little more around the front so it's a little closer to the camera and kind of helps wrap around my face a little more. Okay, I'm starting to like this. I might actually bring my aperture, close it down just a little bit. Shooting at f1.2 is a little tough. So we'll go 1.6. We don't really want the exposure to change, so we're gonna bump ISO up to 200. I'm gonna bring the light a little more around the front, just so I get a little more light on the other side of my face. So I think we got something. There's a few in there that I'm happy with. Back home and we have the images in Capture One. I'll normally go through and edit one of the images the way I like and then just copy and paste those settings to all of them, and then I can better judge which ones are my favorite. I just want to make sure in Capture One I get the basic exposure and the white balance right, and then I delete the curves and I export a pretty flat image into Photoshop, and that's where I do all of my real adjustments and all the retouching. So I have an action that builds out all my retouching layers, and now I'm just doing my curves and my contrast on top of the retouching. And then I can go back to those lower retouching layers and work on it, but then I'm not looking at this super flat image the whole time that I'm retouching. If you notice this scar above my eye, when I was in 5th grade, we were at recess playing street hockey, and I went to score a goal, and my teacher went to block the goal and whiffed on the ball and hit me right in the eye. Blood everywhere. It was a pretty gnarly scene. Mom had to come pick me up. Didn't end up going to the hospital, just taped it up, and it healed with a pretty visible scar, but I don't really mind it. It's all part of my story. So I'm just going through, doing all the little touch-ups, fixing up the hair and stuff. And then I'm gonna get into dodging and burning to kind of help even out the skin tones on my face. And I have 2 different dodge and burn layers. One is for small details, and then after all this, you'll see me get into the bigger details where it's more face shaping with dodge and burn, kind of just adds light and shadow. And normally I'll go in kind of heavy-handed with all of my edits and then use the opacity slider to bring it all the way down and just go back and forth so I can really make sure I'm not going overboard. I want all these edits to be relatively subtle. We don't want plasticky, fake looking faces. A little bit of retouching for the eyes, just to brighten them up a bit because I have pretty dark eyes. This layer just adds a little bit of grain. A little bit of a vignette, and then I actually wanted a little more contrast in here, so a low opacity curve. And that's it. We have the new headshot on the left and the old one on the right. Let me know what you think of the new headshot down in the comments below. I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.